Germany's Lynx IFVs are arriving in Ukraine in the next couple weeks, and I'm going to tell you why the Lynx is probably the best infantry fighting vehicle on the planet right now. Hey friends, Wes here, veteran of the U.S. Army Infantry and the U.S. Air Force, where we live in fame or go down in flame because nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. And pretty soon in eastern Ukraine, a German infantry fighting vehicle is about to roll into combat that was never supposed to be its debut. Not a parade ground, not a NATO exercise, not a glossy Rheinmetall brochure, but a real war. The KF41 Lynx, Germany's most modern infantry fighting vehicle, is heading to Ukraine in the coming weeks, and if it performs the way Rheinmetall hopes, it may quietly reshape what mechanized warfare looks like on the Ukrainian front. And it's not something Berlin pulled out of long-term storage. This is brand new steel. Germany is sending 5 Lynx KF41s to Ukraine, paid for by the German government, under a contract signed in December. One vehicle has already been in Ukraine since late 2024 for evaluation. Those tests went well enough that Kyiv didn't hesitate. Ukraine is now the second country on Earth to operate the Lynx. Hungary might have been the first, but Ukraine gets the combat debut. That alone should tell you something. Rheinmetall didn't design the Lynx for Germany's army. It designed it for export, for competition, and for modern war. And Ukraine is about to become its proving ground. So let's meet the Lynx. Have you ever started a video with a breath mint in your mouth and then you forget about it? We'll cut this part out. The Lynx was unveiled in 2018 as Rheinmetall's answer to a problem that's been haunting NATO for 2 decades. How do you build an infantry fighting vehicle that survives modern battlefields without becoming so heavy, so complex, and so maintenance intensive that it collapses under its own logistics tail? The result was the KF41, the larger and meaner sibling of the earlier KF31. At roughly 44 tons, the KF41 is heavier than a Bradley and roughly on par with newer CV90 variants. It carries a crew of 3 and up to 8 dismounts, which matters in Ukraine where infantry still decide who owns the ground. Speed tops out around 50 miles per hour, which is plenty when paired with modern suspension and powertrain designs. This thing is not supposed to outrun drones, it's supposed to survive long enough to fight under them. But where the Lynx really separates itself is modularity, which seems to be the way we're going with all military equipment these days. This vehicle was built to be reconfigured, not just upgraded. The same hull can serve as an IFV, a command vehicle, a mortar carrier, a recovery vehicle, an ambulance, or even a self-propelled air defense platform. Rheinmetall isn't subtle about that message. Buy one platform, build a fleet. The version heading east comes equipped with Rheinmetall's Lance turret. It's a 2-person crewed turret, not unmanned, which tells you something about Ukrainian preferences. Crewed turrets give commanders direct situational awareness. They allow faster manual overrides, and they keep fighting when software has a bad day, which happens more often in war than defense companies like to admit. The Lance turret can mount either a 30mm or 35mm autocannon. It supports programmable air burst ammunition, which is particularly unpleasant for infantry hiding behind cover or drones flying just a little too confidently. There's also a provision for anti-tank guided missiles. Rheinmetall has already demonstrated Spike LR integration. If Ukraine chooses to go that route, the Lynx becomes not just an infantry carrier, but a serious anti-armor threat. Sort of like the way we, Americans, used the Bradley in the first Gulf War. More Bradleys with tow missiles destroyed enemy Iraqi armor than our Abrams did. Somebody fact check that? I think that's true. Add a coaxial machine gun, modern optics, thermal sights, and sensor fusion, and you have a vehicle designed to fight at night, in smoke, under electronic warfare pressure, which brings us to survivability. The Lynx was designed with protection as a baseline, not an optional upgrade. Its armor package is modular, meaning it can be tailored depending on the threat environment. That includes protection against medium caliber rounds, artillery fragments, mines, and blast effects. Active protection systems can be integrated if specified. Whether Ukraine opted for that immediately remains unclear, but the architecture is there. Don't worry, when these Lynx arrive on the ground, you can bet every defense analyst, including myself, is going to be pixel peeping, trying to find pictures and videos of these things in action, and we'll have a better idea of what Ukraine ordered on these vehicles. All of this matters because Ukrainian IFVs don't just fight other vehicles, they survive FPV drones, artillery airbursts, loitering munitions, and top attack threats on a daily basis. Ukraine has learned, painfully, that survivability is not theoretical. So why does the Lynx matter for this war? Well, because it fits the fight Ukraine is actually fighting in 2026. Which, by the way, might be the same fight all of Europe is going to be fighting in 2027 if Putin gains any more ground. The front is saturated with sensors. Drone spot movement, artillery punishes hesitation, any armored vehicle that can't move, fight, or reposition quickly becomes a smoking lesson. The Lynx supports combined arms in exactly that environment. Infantry dismount under armor, fire support suppresses enemy positions, the vehicle moves before Russian counter-battery fire can zero in on their location, or FPV teams can react. It doesn't replace a tank, but it does enable them. Compared to older platforms like the Marder, which Germany has already supplied, the Lynx offers something different. It brings modern protection, digital architecture, and growth margin. This is not a stopgap, it is a foundation, and that's where the bigger story begins. Rheinmetall has been very open about wanting to build the Lynx in Ukraine, not just assemble, produce. Ukrainian officials have talked openly about joint production since 2023. Rheinmetall CEO reiterated those plans in late 2025. The model mirrors what Rheinmetall did in Hungary and Algeria. If that happens, Ukraine doesn't just receive vehicles, it gains the industrial capacity supercharged by German experience. That changes timelines, it changes sustainment, it changes how fast Ukraine can repair, replace, and expand its mechanized forces. And for Rheinmetall, well, Ukraine becomes the ultimate reference customer. If the Lynx performs under Ukrainian conditions, it strengthens Rheinmetall's case everywhere else. The U.S. Army's XM30 program, European recapitalization, export markets that care less about brochures and more about battlefield receipts. There is risk here. 5 vehicles do not win wars. Early combat losses would be noticed. Failures would be amplified. But that's the trade, right? Ukraine gets cutting-edge capability. Rheinmetall gets the most unforgiving test environment imaginable. And so far, Ukraine's evaluation suggests confidence. Germany paying for the first batch signals political backing, not just a donation, but endorsement. And it marks something new in this war. This is the first time Germany is sending a frontline combat vehicle to Ukraine that is not even in German service. That is not symbolic. That is strategic. The Lynx KF41 is not a wonder weapon. It will not end the war. It does not stop drones from buzzing overhead or artillery from finding targets, but it represents something more important. It shows where this war is heading. Ukraine is no longer just receiving aid. It is shaping the next generation of Western ground combat systems in real time. And the Lynx is about to find out whether modern design holds up when the shooting starts. You can bet as soon as we have pictures and video from the front with the Lynx in action against the Russians, you're going to find out about it right here on my channel, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Listen, the Lynx scares this guy because he knows how good it is. Look at him, he's shaking. Calm down. This guy. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.